Koholo Yahweh Bashim Yahushai Bashem Makakwadash, double honors to the elders and apostles of great millstone of well. I am not a member, however, I've entered into their labors. Peace and mercy to the sincere brothers and sisters doing this wherever you are, whatever your lot may be. This is Instagram, so I gotta let it roll in silence. Otherwise, if you refresh, or if you go away from the page, it'll refresh. So I'm gonna restart this from the beginning, let it play, and then we're gonna get our scriptures afterwards. All right, so this is Deontay Kyle. He's on TikTok, he's on Instagram, he's on all the platforms, Patreon, and from a worldly standpoint, like, I guess if he makes it easy to tie things to the scriptures, but he makes a lot of sense, again, from a worldly standpoint. And well, you'll see. We'll just because I'm on break, so I can't be here too long. So let's rewind it, start it from the beginning, get our scriptures, and then that'll be it.
I'm saying that to say that I understand the mentality, especially when you're raised on it. But I also understand it in its historical context and in the context of what we've come from in this country. Because how could you not believe in Jesus when the devil was so real? You wake up every day in literal hell. No rights, no autonomy, treated as product, you know what I mean? Your goods and services to these people. You have no humanity. So Jesus is in and of itself is a part of black culture. In the way that black people have worshiped Jesus, it has made it a part of black culture. The Christian church, the Baptist church, the Methodist church, it's all a part of black culture. Even at the concerts, during their montages, when they are framing all these different frames of the black experience here in America, the church plays a pivotal role in it because the church was the third space for us. Just like, barbershop, salons. We had these third spaces that we used to use to organize, like when we was at Pearls in Chicago. That was clearly a third space where they used to organize. So like our restaurants, any of our institutions was used to hold court and to hold meetings. But the church was the cornerstone of it because it was ritualistic. It was every Sunday. So when the devil is that real, even up into Jim Crow, the devil is real, bruh. You know what I'm saying? The devil outside waiting on you every day. How could you not believe in Jesus? And then when you think about the Europeans and the way that they got down, they send the missionaries first. They send the missionaries with them Bibles first, right? I believe they send them first because they finna send them demons right after. Because them niggas that's coming behind them, if you ain't with the program, they coming and killing shit. No compromising, no asking no questions. We seen that even in a movie like Pocahontas. Even when it's a cartoon, right? They come first with the peace and the treaties and all this and that. They come community first. Because them niggas, that second wave of motherfuckers that they finna send is straight savages, bro. So it's not lost on me. They're seeing your brothers, your sisters, your cousin, your auntie, your uncle, your father, grandfather, mother, your mama, your children being crucified on a daily basis, being sold off on a daily basis. You would need a higher power. You need a belief system that will preserve your life. And you need a belief system that reinforces wealth in the afterlife when your reality is hell. You dig what I'm saying? Preserving their power through rituals and communion. And if we look at our history in this country and the history of our leaders, then we would see Jesus in our image and believe our existence is not only a miracle, but that we perform miracles in this country time and time again, always at the risk of crucifixion.
Right. And Jake definitely does perform miracles. Even in our captivity, we have done all of the creating, okay? And these devils knew that, even before, if you go into the history, like with the Maccabees, every time during the Old Testament when we had to rebuild the temple, they knew that to attack the temple is to get us. If you destroy the communication between us and our power, then you can conquer these people, okay? And furthermore, if these people are out of line, if they are disobedient, if they are not within the confines of the covenant that they made with their power, okay, you can conquer these people, right, with Balak and Balaam. And if you don't destroy the temple, you can distort, you can pervert how they see their power. Okay, Judges 9:24 tells you the earth was given into the hand of the wicked. He covered up the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? So they changed the image. Okay, because in spirit, we are a quote unquote religious people. We are a spiritual people. We know that there is a power, there is a God. But these devils have done an excellent job because the Lord allowed it. The Lord allowed it. There had to be that falling away. Okay, there had to be a nation of fierce countenance that came up against us, or that came to overtake us because of our disobedience. All right, so because the Lord allowed it, they have perverted the way we worship. They have perverted the way we see God, the one that we're ignorantly refer to as God. They have perverted and hid things that are righteous and replaced it with some sort of pacification system, aka Christianity, in order to make our people docile. And even with the politics, they knew to get to influence so-called black people to do things that was against, for lack of a better term, against our better judgment. But it wasn't ours. It was, what we knew as a moral compass at that time. They needed to get into the church. So the church, especially Christianity, was nothing more than a stupid pill that dumbed you down and pacified you and made you ignorant to what is true. Notice, while you were in Christianity, you didn't know jack shit about the Bible. You had one in your house. You had one in the car. You had one on your desk somewhere, but you never cracked it open. You never knew anything that was in it. So let's start off with, I'm sorry, not Isaiah. Because I also want to get Isaiah 53, what Yahushua talks about a man being well acquainted with grief, and how we are crucified every day, as he mentioned. However, it is not in the way that our Savior, the Yahushua, whom the world ignorantly refers to as Jesus, is not a way he was crucified, but the servant is not greater than his master. So the way Yahushua suffered, we also have to, in a form, suffer for our disobedience, because he did, 1, to redeem a nation. 2, if you can receive it, redemption for his sins as Solomon. And that is another story for another day. Matter of fact, you can just type in GMS Psalms 91. All right, find it for yourself. Go look, go read, go take notes. And I'll verify that it is Psalm 91. Or you can just type in my Lord. Then the Lord said unto my Lord. All right, if you type that in, we'll do that. I'll give you that. I'll give you that tidbit, and then you just type it in YouTube. Okay, or GMS reincarnation. Anyway, let's move on here. Deuteronomy 28. 41. We're going to start at 41. There's so many of it. It's all relevant, but I'm trying to make it relevant to exactly what we're talking about here. These are the curses here. We'll start at 41. Thou shalt beget sons and daughters, but thou shalt not enjoy them, for they shall go into captivity. And you see it through, going in with chains about our necks, okay, the physical captivity, and then they changed it to a contractual captivity. And then even further, if the Lord was allowed these folks to continue, it would be a technological captivity, completely surveilled from within and from without, right? All thy trees and fruit of thy land shall the locust consume. The stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low. And a quick example you can get of that is how, because the devil, or the physical manifestation of, who we would call the devil and Satan, that old dragon, they control everything because of that nation that got up above thee, right? Or I'm sorry, that nation that will of fierce countenance, we'll read in the verse 49. Since they control everything here, they allow these other nations in our neighborhoods. Well, first of all, they destroyed our prosperity, in the early 20th century. And then now you fast forward with the drugs, and then from that they allow these other nations to come and open businesses, open businesses in our communities, and they can prosper. But Jake is gonna fight tooth and nail, and you ain't gonna open nothing up in their community. You can't go anywhere in theirs, but they're all up in yours. The stranger, verse 44, he shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail. I remember in Psalms 83, it talks about who your enemies are, right? And it starts with E, and then it names later on down in the very next verse, the head tribe of E, starting with an A. And you want to get a loan, mortgage, whatever, what have you, you got to go to a bank and, put two and two together with banks. All right, you put the two together. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee and shall pursue thee and overtake thee till thou be destroyed. And we were. But you are seeing a remnant come together. You are seeing the awakening. You are seeing E being made bare, and the byproduct of the truth is the general public is waking up. Not only has the elect been woken up and have the 100% truth to the men of GMS and those that preach the like doctrine, but the byproduct of the residual of that is the general population, or in jail terms, gen pop, or the regular civilians have are on some sort of level. They have some sort of understanding. Okay. About the who's who and the what's what, and who's stealing and who's lying and who's pretending to be what they are not, or who they are not, and who belongs in a land and who doesn't. 46, and they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever, because thou servest not the Lord thy power with joyfulness and with gladness of heart, for the abundance of all things. Therefore thou shalt serve thine enemies, which Yahweh has sent against thee, in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. Yoke of iron. Now, if there are any, which I have not seen, and there isn't because that didn't happen to those said group of people, I want to see yokes of iron. Where is the proof of the yokes of iron on anybody except the sons of Jacob, northern and southern kingdom alike? Because right here, Israel and Judah were oppressed together. Northern kingdom being Israel with the split, southern kingdom being Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. And they were oppressed together here through the Atlantic slave trade and the reverse slave trade, right? That's how freight works. You pick up something, you pick up cargo, you drop off cargo, and you pick it up where you dropped it off and take another load back to where you came from. Northern and southern kingdom alike, going back and forth between the new world and the old. 49, the point here. The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from afar, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle fleeth. A nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand, a nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of the old, nor show favor to the young. All right, and they didn't understand the tongue, but why did Cristobal, or Christopher Columbus, have a legitimate Hebrew interpreter, not a Yiddish, but a Hebrew interpreter with him? Inquiring mind wants to know. A nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of old, nor show favor to the young. All right, and I read that. That's verse 50. Okay, so, and then I want to go now to Isaiah 53, where it talks about the suffering of Yahushua here. A man well acquainted with grief. And our people as a whole, not to the level of Yahushua, because he knew what he came to do. He knew who was going to betray them. He knew how he was going to be tortured, how he was going to be mocked and ridiculed unjustly, from a standpoint of what they see here on the earth unjustly. We could not fathom waking up every day knowing what's about to happen, yet still having the integrity to walk the walk the Lord that the Father, he said he's about the will of his Father. Having the integrity and the gall and the fortitude to walk the walk that was set for him, knowing every day what is about to happen. Think about it. If you knew you was finna get fucked up every day of your life, the Lord told you who was gonna fuck you up and how, just to test to see if you were going to have the integrity to walk the walk that you were supposed to walk for a nation. Could you do it? Absolutely not. None of us could. But on a small scale, we we endure. Okay? And let me calm down. I felt that fire. I felt that fire get up in me. Isaiah 53 and verse 3 here. I'm going to get straight to the point. He is despised and rejected of men, a man of sorrows, and acquainted with grief. We hid, as it were, our faces from him. He was despised, and we esteemed him not. Surely he hath borne our griefs and carried our sorrows, yet we did esteem him stricken, smitten of God, and afflicted. But he was wounded for our transgressions, he was bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace was upon him, and with his stripes we are healed. And that is why we are able to fall short and be able to repent, okay? Because of that. Because of the great sacrifice. So we read Deuteronomy, and he mentioned that, of course, if evil had to be, then if there had to be, a good and a God, and we needed some sort of divine intervention, which there will be. Okay, so we're gonna go to Luke, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, and 21. And of course, our people had this understanding, albeit it was distorted, but we had an understanding that there is a higher power, there is true justice that we would not get here, or not get from them, that it had to be some sort of divine intervention. We had that understanding. It just has been distorted, but no longer. Okay, and we'll end on 2 Ezra 6. The truth has been so long without fruit. Okay, has now been declared. We're going to get that at the end. Just to, that'll be the cap. That'll be the icing on the cake here. Because I feel my heartbeat rising talking about Yahushua. Ooh, hey. Call Allah Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, man. Bashim Rakakwadash. What did I say? Luke 21 and 28. Okay, and you can read 25, 26, 27 about the signs, right? Men's hearts failing them from fear. Okay, distress of the nations, perplexity. Then shall they see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory. Okay, and the point here is in verse 28 that I want to read. And when these things begin to come and pass, then look up and lift up your heads, for your redemption draweth nigh. And the stumbling block for people is that they're asking, if there is a God, why didn't he come sooner? But all things had to be fulfilled. All these prophecies, okay, they did not happen at once. And that was the same question Esdras asked. Why can't we just get it all over with? And he said, don't try to hasten above the Creator. I liken my judgment unto a ring. And he also said, can a woman have all the babies at one time? All right, can a woman, they got to carry a baby to term. There has been cosmic rules set in place, and they just have to play out the way they play out. All right, and that's what that's what the angel was telling Esdras. Right, he's like, other questions ask thou not. Just listen. It is what it is. All right. I'm giving you enough. Roll with that. And speaking of everything that has to happen, okay, we're gonna go to 2 Thessalonians, and then we'll end it on Esdras. Did I read that? I don't think I fully read it. I don't think I read it all. Hold on, I only left some meat on the bone real quick. So let me Luke 21. Let me finish reading it. I think it's 1 through 4 is what I wanted here. Or I'm sorry. Yeah. Luke 21, 28. I did get it. Okay. So we need 2 Thessalonians 1 through 4. I'm confusing it. So we'll do that. 2. And this is chapter 2, verse 1 through 4. Now we beseech you, brethren, by the coming of our Lord Hamashiach Yahushua, and by our gathering together unto him, that ye be not soon shaken in mind, or be troubled, neither by spirit, nor by word, nor by letter, as from us, as that the day of Hamashiach is at hand. Let no man deceive you by any means, for the day shall not come, except as a falling away first, and that the man of sin being revealed, the son of perdition, who opposed and exalted himself above all that is called God or that is worshipped, so that he as God sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. Right, so there has to be things that happen. The falling away is that we're being recovered from that. Okay, what other prophets did we have? The mandatory implementation of the injectable for the detectable. Right, the third woe. All of that has to come in full play. All right, so we'll end it. I think it's second Ezra 6, around the 24th verse, or it could be 24. Nope, 27. Second Ezra 6 and 27. For evil shall be put out, and deceit shall be quenched. As for faith, it shall flourish. Corruption shall be overcome, and the truth, which hath been so long without fruit, shall be declared. So with that, I truly pray that you are edified. Shalom.